see you, Paul.
Coach, obviously you're seeing RJ and yourself as pretty emotional games, especially the way you guys fought back then the second half to get to overtime. But I guess the biggest question was, what was Texas able to, obviously they doubled Hubbard the whole game, but just talk about the job they were able to do on him for pretty much the whole game, especially first half.
Yeah, they obviously had a really good game plan against Josh in terms of just limiting his touches when he had the ball. They were, whatever their vocabulary is, trapping the ball screen and just staying with it until he threw the ball out of it. And they actually were doing that to quite a bit of our guys in the first half. Just try to make our bigs catch it in space and make plays. And he had one shot attempt, at halftime. I can't imagine he's had a game in his career where he's only had one shot attempt. So, we got to do a better job earlier of figuring out how to adjust to something like that and get him more opportunities in the second half. Obviously, he did have more. I think he had 11 shot attempts in the second half and got to the line 10 times. But they did a good job with that.
Go to Sam to coach's right, and then we'll go to Robbie in the middle, second row.
RJ Melendez came in here and was basically fighting back tears as he was sitting up there where you are. I don't really know if everyone else in the locker room or anyone else was kind of that emotional after this loss, but why do you maybe think he was so emotional or was struck by this, or why maybe some other people were if that was the case?
Because they care. I mean, they care about each other. They care about their craft. They care about this team. They want to win. I've told you guys before how much I believe in this team and the parts of it. We've got unbelievable kids who've sweated and grinded and gone to work every single day, allowed us to coach them. And, then when it doesn't work out, the way you want it to, it hurts. Our locker room is very somber, to say the least. And we've lost plenty of games this year, but that was a hard one to swallow for all of us.
I asked you about Riley the other day and just getting the consistency from him, and we've seen games like at Vanderbilt, he's come out and started poorly and just hasn't been able to get in the game, and he started poorly today. You stuck with him and he kept you in that ball game. I know he had the 2 missed free throws late, but you don't go to overtime without him. Why did you feel like you needed to stick with him through the tough start, and how did you feel like he answered for most of the ball game after that?
If you really think about it, it was very similar unfolding against LSU. His first 2 runs, he didn't play very well on either end. He was struggling on offense. His motor wasn't running on defense, and we did stick with him, and he played better. And then tonight, I think that gave us a little more confidence, that he could bounce back. And you're right. I'd say it if he was sitting here. He hasn't really proven to us that, he's capable of doing that very often, of not getting off to a great start and then changing it, and having some runs where he's more productive. But the thing tonight I thought made me stick with him was, he was first to the floor a couple times for some loose balls that I just don't ever remember him doing, to be honest with you. I've been on him about it, and he showed people his strength and his core and his athleticism and his fight. And he was defending. He was defending out there. He was scrapping. He was competing. And of course, I'm the old coach, and I'm going to tell him that that's why you ended up playing better. Is it fueled your game? It's just karma's karma, man, and that's how it works. And certainly, he's very, very disappointed. But like you said, we wouldn't have been in that position if he wouldn't have made some of the plays that he did, down the stretch for us.
Front row middle with James, and then we'll go over to Benjamin.
just in terms of what you're able to do both in games and over the course of a several game stretch, what do you feel like it's gonna take to find just consistent positive momentum?
Yeah, I mean, this is March, right? And that's what everybody's searching for. And, we had the great second half against LSU. I came out of the gates exactly how you would draw it up. We were flying around, the crowd was into it. The bench didn't have a great vibe. I'm sure that's not the start that they envisioned. And then we had a group in there that didn't play very well. We were sloppy with the ball. We weren't finishing at the rim. And then at obviously the last 4+ minutes of the first half was just not good. The momentum wasn't great. And so that was disappointing. And at that point, I just told them, a lot of times in your career, you tell a team, hey man, you fought back, you scratched, you clawed. Of course you did, you better. I can't imagine, you not doing that. That's just the expectation, that's the standard, especially at the level in the league, that we're playing in. But, we don't have a lot more opportunities to find that consistency that you asked about. I was hoping that, we could win back-to-back games at home and have some momentum going into our last road game, which is obviously a very difficult place to play. But what these kids have shown me, this group in particular, is their mental toughness, their resilience, their belief in one another. And I know they're gonna regroup and get ready for one last road trip before Nashville.
Benjamin, go ahead.
Most in all likelihood, the final game in the hump for players like Cameron Matthews and a few of the other seniors who haven't been here quite as long. But just in terms of the legacy they've built, where do you feel like they've done to leave the program in a better place than they found it?
That's probably more served for the end of the season. I did tell those guys in the locker room that I felt bad for them because you want to have a good memory of your senior night, right? But at the same time, I told them before the game, I'm not celebrating you right now. I'm not doing the whole thank you for everything and hug it out and do all that. We have so much more basketball to play. So enjoy the acknowledgement with your family, and then let's go do what we do, and then we'll have time later, to do all that and recognize them in a way that they deserve. But to me, that's at the end, when the season's complete, when you think about those kind of things, and I'm sure we'll have plenty of time to do that.
Couple more, we'll go to the middle with Jacob and then Robbie.
Coach, pretty wild last 9 seconds of regulation. What were you telling your guys in the huddle prior to the overtime period?
The biggest thing I had, and it didn't work out, was, to be the hit first. The way we came back and put it into overtime, that can take a lot out of the other team when you feel like you have the upper hand and you're gonna win the game, and then you don't. And I actually paid close attention to their bench and their huddle and their vibe right away, and it wasn't great. It wasn't great. And so, unfortunately, my message, other than what we're in, etc., was we needed to punch them first. We needed to kick them while they were down and gather that momentum and keep it. And obviously, it didn't. They scored in the first couple possessions and got up 5, if I'm not mistaken. And I thought that was a crucial part of the game. If we could have somehow came out and the tip was odd at best. I don't know what happened on the jump tip, and we didn't really have a chance to get it. And they scored on the first possession, and we didn't, and they scored again. And then I felt like it was the end of the game again. We were fighting uphill, the rest of the game to try to get in position to, steal it or send it to another overtime.